Welcome on in to a mailbag edition of Falcons Today. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which airs every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us next Thursday if you have a question you would like to ask. Our first one comes in from Dat1 Falcons fan. Do you realistically see us sweeping New Orleans knowing that they now have an interim head coach making his debut? We all know about the magic of the debut of the interim head coaches. Here's the thing. This does not fit my narrative, because I'm a big believer in the interim head coach boost and the backup quarterback boost. Happened with Jameis Winston, happened with Andy Dalton this year. Now, you only get one game of boost. You only get the powers for one game. So you don't want to be the team that plays that coach or that backup in that first game. Second and third game after that, they're all out of magic. But I did look back. From 2021, I found 7 interim head coaches. In their first game, they went 3-4. So not a winning record, but definitely better than what the team's record was at that point. I don't think the interim head coach boost exists for the Saints this week because it just feels like it's a team after the deadline and dealing Lattimore away that is just throwing in the towel this year and is prepared to suck. So the players aren't going to feel that same way, but when that energy's in the building, it's tough to ignore. So I don't think the boost will exist, / I just really don't want it to exist. Vincent, there's a reason we didn't trade for edge rusher because our defense just finally went off, so we need to trust our defense and only worry about making the playoffs. I mean, the Falcons in the last 3 weeks of the season are top 10 in pressures generated, so I can see how Terry Fontenot looks at that, looks at the 3 sacks they had against the Cowboys and figures, okay, that's good enough for me to not overpay at the deadline. I don't agree with that logic, but I can see how he got to that conclusion. My rebuttal to this is you got a 3-sack performance to get you to 9 sacks on the year. You've played 9 games. In 8 games, you had a total of 6 sacks. In 1 game, you had 3. Which one's the outlier? I'm going to go with the 3. I do appreciate your question, though, Vincent. Thank you very much. Next question coming in. Aiden. If the D-line keeps pace from the Cowboys game, do you think we realistically can make the Super Bowl? Absolutely. I know that when you don't get great preseason odds to win the Super Bowl, it's tough to wrap your mind around it. But just think back to the last couple of years. I mean, last year was pretty chalky. Chiefs, 49ers, they were juggernauts going into the year. No one picked the Bengals to go to the Soupy. Who picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl? I mean, who had the Lions going to the NFC Championship game last year? There have been a lot of teams that just kind of pop out of nowhere. The Panthers in 2015. I don't think the Falcons are incapable of going to the Super Bowl just because it's tough to close your eyes and picture it. So if the D-line keeps playing the way they played against the Cowboys, yes, they can definitely take down anyone in the NFC. They can score enough points, and the defense can be just good enough. And that's all I want from them. Good enough. Thomas, who will lead the Atlanta Falcons on yards from scrimmage by the end of the year? If Bijan Robinson, yeah. I was about to say if Drake London stays healthy, but I'm going to go with Robinson because he gets so many receiving yards as well. So I feel like your point about being from the line of scrimmage really zeroes in on 7. So I'll go with Bijan. Caleb, I love Ray, but imagine if Moore hadn't gotten hurt and what his speed could have done for us this year. I would not have swapped out Rondale Moore for Ray McLeod right now. Like, if I had a button to press where Moore is playing over McLeod, I wouldn't press that button. Sure, Rondale Moore had incredible speed, but Ray McLeod, he's been, like, surprisingly really clutch in short yardage throws on, like, 3rd down. I don't think that was really part of Moore's game. So I'd go with Ray from what we've seen so far over Rondale Moore. Caleb, I do appreciate your question, though. Gary, so why did we not seek defensive help? I can come up with 3 reasons, Gary, and I don't agree with these reasons, but they're the only reasons I can make sense of. 1, they did not have a lot of draft capital to work with. The Falcons had 5 draft picks in the upcoming draft. 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 2 7ths. So they didn't have a lot of currency to exchange for a player. 2, They're going to try and pretend to be poor. They're not poor. They got $7.5 million of cap space. You could definitely take on someone's remaining contract. And then 3, like I just showed a graphic earlier, in the last 3 weeks, they are top 10 in pressures. So Fontenot, looking at the lack of draft capital and a little bit of a tight wallet and a defense that's put together a decent 3-week stretch when it comes to pressuring the quarterback, is enough for him not to make a desperate trade. I would have made it. And we have to believe that this Falcons defense, which is cursed when it comes to rushing the quarterback, is going to turn it on in the second half. I'll believe it when I see it, and I'll eat my words if I'm wrong. Before we look at the other questions you guys have for us, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time has so many awesome features, like the Game Time Guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Now, I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. So visit Game Time today for so many other cool features like Game Time Picks, the Game Time Guarantee, all in pricing. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. The dog. Where do you think Kyle Pitts ranks amongst tight ends by the end of the season? I think top 10. Are we talking yards by tight ends? If that's the case, I think right now he's either 3rd or 4th. He was 3rd going into week 9, but he didn't do much against the Cowboys. But I think Kyle Pitts is going to finish top 5 in yards by tight ends at the end of the season. It hasn't been a fantastic year for tight ends. Travis Kelce's been underwhelming. Sam Laporta, I don't think, has been lighting the world on fire. On the spot right now, I'm going to look up his stats. I could be wrong, but I feel like he was just having a better year last year at this point. Yeah, this year he's got, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns for Laporta. So it's not as, busy of a year for him. So, yeah, 300 yards. Pitts has more than that. So I'm going to say Kyle Pitts is top 5 in receiving yards by the end of the year. Bizarrely brilliant. Why don't the Falcons give rookie Brandon Dorlus a shot? Might be a future sack leader. Practice is the short answer. I mean, if you can't prove it in practice that you deserve to get snaps on Sunday over veteran players who have shown you they can get it done, then you're not going to get that opportunity. So as a rookie, I am perfectly fine with being patient and letting these guys get acclimated to NFL game speed a little bit, because it's a whole lot different rushing a 19-year-old offensive guard from Washington State versus, in practice, old man Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom. So my guess is, in practice, the coaching staff is not seeing what they need to see to go, yep, that's someone that we should give snaps to, just for the sake of doing it because he might be a future sack leader. 404 Love, not trading for a pass rusher is a good thing. One person isn't going to change anything, and we've seen what Kaden Ellis can do when we give him the chance. I do agree that one person's not going to dramatically alter the course you're on, but one person could get you from 32nd to 26 in total sacks, and I would do that deal. If I was told, hey, trade for this guy, and you will finish the year 26 in sacks, I'd probably take that deal. Because I don't think this team can go the distance if they are 32nd in sacks. I just don't think Kirk Cousins, who's had a phenomenal year, can be a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, and really do everything knowing I've got a defense that can't get to the quarterback. I mean, let me ask you this question right now, 404 Love. If crystal ball time, someone said, hey, you trade for Deaderick Smith, give up your 4th-round pick and get a 6th-rounder back in Smith, and you finish the year 25th in sacks, jump up 7 spots from where you are right now, would you do that deal? I would. I would do that deal. Also, for the Ellis part of it, I think Ellis is exceeding his role right now, but changing his role was something I thought might be a good idea before. You got a good thing going with him. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I like the way Ellis has played so far this year, and I think changing his role you might shake up when you have a good thing going there. Matthew Petey fan, my burner. Who will have more yards and touchdowns, Darnell Mooney or Drake London? I'm going to go with Drake London still, but I do want to get some injury insurance on this because he is dealing with that hip injury. So I'll still stick with London if both guys are healthy the rest of the way. But Mooney's going to be right there with them, and they're both, well exceeding a pace for 1,000 yards this season. Edwin Cruz, when can we see QB2 play again? The next time Atlanta leads by 30 points. I mean, we're not actually talking about any kind of quarterback change, right? Certainly not. So, next time Atlanta's up by 30 or down by 30, we'll see number 9. Trucker Mike, what are some of the needs the team has going into the 2025 draft? Defensive end, edge rusher, outside linebacker, pass rusher. Oh, those are all synonyms. Pass rusher. Maybe corner to kind of get something young going, just because cornerback is such a valued cornerstone position in the modern day NFL. It can never hurt to replenish that group. And they didn't draft a corner last year. So the last corner they drafted was Clark Phillips in round 4. That's just a long stretch right there if you don't take a corner early this year. To go, man, in 3 years, the only corner that took was a guy in the 4th round. You're leaving yourself very vulnerable at a very crucial position. So edge rusher and then cornerback are the first two that pop in my head. Aiden, deep playoff run if the defensive line keeps up like week 9, 100%. I mean, they can win some playoff games even if the defense doesn't play at the in week 9. I just don't think they can go all the way, which I think this team has the talent to do. So that's why I am kind of coming across as a grumpy old man, because it feels like they are limiting themselves from their full potential. Last question coming in from Kim. For Falcons' first wildcard playoff game in almost a decade, versus Eagles or versus Packers or versus Vikings, which team do you feel confident will win? Got a rematch with the Eagles, who they're kind of frauds. They just don't really they don't play as good as their roster would indicate. I would say you'd want to play the Vikings, though. And I really hope I don't jinx anything, but I feel like their magic could kind of run out after their 5-0 start. I mean, I can kind of see them finishing the year 10-7, but started off 5-0 and ended the year 5-7. I'd want to play the team that ended the year 5-7. So I'd go with the Vikings. But who you got for this Sunday? Falcons or Saints? Let me know in the comment section below. I got the Dirty Birds by 90. Let me know who you got.